What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be reviewing a VR title. This is recently just released on the PlayStation VR 2, which is the platform that I played it on. I believe it released earlier back in May on both Steam, PSVR and on the Quest 2 as well. So I don't have a review of those versions, but I do have a review for the PlayStation version, which is the one that I played. I was kindly gifted this key for the game by Warner Dev Studios, which yeah, very grateful for that, because this just looked up my street. It's horror, it's survival horror almost, and it gives off very strong Resident Evil vibes, which I will give a little glimpse of in the review anyway. So essentially this game is Propagation Paradise Hotel VR, where you play as a character Emily Diaz, who you kind of just wake up in this hotel. There's an infection going on, think like a zombie apocalypse, and everyone's holed up in this hotel where people have just turned infected, turned into zombies, and you seem to be one of the only remaining survivors. So it seems to just be you and a security guard by the name of Owen, who has a really similar sounding voice to something from like one of the original Resident Evil games. It gives me Barry Burton vibes, even looks a little bit like him. So essentially this is a full-on VR experience where you can use motion controls for combat with guns and solving puzzles. It's your kind of what you expect from a horror game, what you expect from a survival horror game like the Resident Evil games, with some of the puzzles. And I was just really enjoying this game, so I didn't know what to expect. I did play the old Propagation game on Steam, which was more of like a wave-based horde shooter, but this one is definitely a story-based game. It's about, I would say, 4 hours. I think my save was 3 hours 40 minutes or so, but I don't think that included all the deaths, and honestly there were quite a lot of deaths, so there was quite a bit of a difficulty spike in this game in the last sort of 3 quarters. But yeah, I just want to give you guys an idea of what this game is. You start off without any combat. It's essentially just walking around the hotel, finding clues, which you can find through picking up documents like you would in the old survival horror games on the PS2 or the PS1 even, where you're finding out more about the lore of the world and the characters and what's happened and how it's just developed from people holding out here to how everyone's kind of dead. So the game gives you also some pretty strong Dead Island vibes, I would say, as well, probably from the zombie designs as well, because there seem to be a lot of creatures in this game that are just really tall zombies just for no reason. Like there's a dude that's like 7 foot tall, and yeah, he scares the shit out of you when he walks around the corridor. So the sound is great in this one as well. I did play, I would say 3/4 of the game with headphones on, and then I played the rest just through the TV, just because I had the dog running around and stuff, and I just wanted to have some kind of idea what was going on in the house. But the sound from what I did here was great, especially in the earphone. So if you have the headset, then definitely use that as an option. So the graphics are pretty awesome as well. So with this being a PlayStation VR, I'm not sure how it compares to the PC version or the Quest version, but I imagine it stacks up pretty close to the PC version. But yeah, the models and the lighting was great. You have a flashlight which is attached to your chest, which you can kind of pick up batteries Outlast style and keep filling it up whenever it runs low, which you can use as a first person tool to, you know, look in little corners for secrets and just light the room and make the atmosphere how you want it to be, which is what I really enjoy doing in those games. Like, you could probably just keep it on your chest the whole time, but it just adds that extra atmosphere when you're walking through a new doorway or through a vent with this torch, just, you know, looking, peeking around the corners. It makes you sort of, it gets you involved with the story more because you're doing these things, which is what VR is really about. It's about being immersive. The gunplay is pretty cool. I'm not sure about the accuracy of the guns. That might just be me myself, but I found myself just missing headshots quite a lot, especially from a distance, but up close and personal, it felt really awesome to just unwind on these zombies with a shotgun. But that is what happens in these type of games as well, is when the horror gets pretty peaked, you lose what you do and you panic, and that is what this game is about in the combat, which is the same with a lot of Resident Evil games, like Resident Evil 4 VR as well. You get overwhelmed with zombies and monsters, and you have to, you know, use your wits and use your hands to get yourself out of that situation as if you were in a real horror situation. So you're reloading on the fly, you know, emptying clips, putting clips in and cocking the guns, and trying to find first aid sprays, which obviously is a callback to something from Resident Evil. You have the sprays which you actually fill up with little medicinal bottles, which kind of look like the ones from Resident Evil 7. The game is around, like I said, about 3-4 hours, and I think it's paced pretty well. You're kind of moving up and around this hotel, different floor by floors, by doing puzzles, and the puzzles are really awesome as well, quite thought-provoking, like something you might see in like the old Silent Hill games, and probably not as obscure as those ones, but there's a lot of, you know, circuit breaker ones where you have to look at maps and blueprint of the whole building to figure out which switches you need to press. And yeah, just nice physics-based puzzles, and it was just a joy to play. And I think it helped that it was only a sort of a short game as well. you didn't get too overwhelmed with things to do, you didn't get lost trying to figure out puzzles. Another great thing about it was the map as well. You press a button on the controller, on the DualSense, it pulls out a map and you can kind of walk around the corridors whilst looking at your map, a la old school survival horror games, and you can see which doors you've been in, which doors you haven't been in yet. So it really helps to get that collectability out of the way, where you know you've knocked off every door in the corridor, so you only know there's only one true sort of way to go. And it's also good for picking up supplies, which is something that you definitely need in this game. You need to get all the ammo you can and get all the health and just items that you need to get through the next scenario, because you never know how many zombies are going to pop up around the corner. And the game does definitely start ramping up towards the end of the game, where you get to areas where there's multiple zombies and you're kind of backed into a corner. I really enjoyed this game. I will say that I'm hoping to see what happens next to this one. I had a little conversation with some of the devs, and they said they're kind of pinning whether this gets a sequel or another game in this on how well it sells. So if you like the sound of this game, if you like old school horror, if you like VR horror especially, then please go up and pick this game. You can get it on the Quest 2, Steam, and PlayStation VR 2 now, which is the version I played. Do support them, check it out, and check out the Propagation VR as well, because I think that is a free download on Steam, which is awesome. The haptics in it are awesome as well. You know, you've got like the vibrations of the controllers when you're shooting the guns, and the puzzles as well, and just all kinds of things. So it's definitely a good version on the PlayStation VR, and I would recommend it. So yeah, let me know down below in the comment section your thoughts on the game. If you've enjoyed it, if you played it, if you played the old one, are you hoping to see a sequel to this or a continuation? Do let me know down below in the comment section, and yeah, go ahead and support this game, because I want to see more, and once you've played it I think you will too. So thanks for watching guys, and I will see you in the next video.